Hello and welcome to the Real Life Show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan. This is a platform where we get to engage, interact, learn from icons, gurus, moguls, trendsetters, trailblazers, difference makers, and world changers. You know what I'm talking about. I came with a notebook today because I had to prepare some tough questions for my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special guest in the house. He is a bishop, clergy, pastor, teacher, prophet, apostle, and the newest groom in town, Bishop Ecclesiastes Emmanuel. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for hosting me.
Okay.
Quite an honor.
We thank God.
Thank you so much.
You look sharp, sir.
I'm so grateful. You look also amazing.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Bless the Lord.
So today we just want to dive into, marriage, and you have an amazing story. First of all, you have an interesting story, and I want us to get deep into that.
Okay.
How does it feel to be married, first of all?
It feels amazing to be married. Of course, to be married to the most amazing and beautiful woman.
Yeah.
It's so peaceful.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's an experience of heaven.
Okay.
A little bit of that touch.
Yeah.
I don't know how heaven feels, but I think when we pray, we get that feeling when we worship.
Yes, we have a touch of heaven when we worship. Yes.
Yes. So just that kind of feeling, without you worshiping, without you praying, but just getting that heavenly vibe. Especially when you've married the right one.
What am I missing in marriage? What have you been missing?
I think care.
Yeah.
Acceptance. And just there's, when God said it's not good for man to be alone. I think there's that thing of you feel like there was a vacuum within you. That is filled once when you settle with somebody. Because sometimes, when you're single, just like Adam didn't see the need of Eve, but it was God that looked at him and said, it is not good for man to be alone. Which means most of the time as men, we feel like there's no need of a woman in my life until the woman comes. That's when we realize that, okay, because you fit in a particular position in your life. And you even feel it. That, okay, there was a gap here. And she has come to occupy.
You look like a very happy man.
Very happy.
Happily married. Lots of people will say I'm happily married.
Actually, that's an understatement.
Okay.
When you, because looking at my story, it's a different story.
Yes.
It's a unique story.
And talking about your story, which is unique and different, on a few occasions, of course, for some of us who've been privileged to be close to you, you've mentioned a long season of where you haven't met a woman.
Yes.
And I don't know how old you are right now.
Yes.
But you should be above 35 years old.
Definitely.
What did you do? How did you keep yourself pure for those many years?
I'm 37 now.
Wow.
And the first, I can say, penetrative sex that I had was when I got married.
Wow.
With my wife.
37 years a virgin.
Yes.
You've been a virgin for 37 years.
37 years.
Wow.
And my wife also has not known any man. Of course, that's a King James language.
Yes.
She has never slept with any man.
Wow.
Layman's language.
Yes.
A virgin also. She's probably close to 30. She has not known any man. And I have not known any woman. I mean, in a penetrative way, the reason why I'm using that statement is because you can have sex mentally.
Yes.
Jesus said when you look at a woman lustfully, you've already committed adultery. So when I'm emphasizing the statement penetrative sex, I mean where you have to take off your pants and, you know, put your golden stick there. Yes. So for 37 years, number one, I can say God has kept me. That's the first thing. Because such kind of a thing is an impossibility without God keeping you. It's impossible. Man with all kind of desires, and not just that, but the temptations that are out there, they are extreme, especially the times that we are living in.
Yes.
You see nakedness everywhere. Even if you're not interested in pornography, you will see it. I mean, you know, adverts and all that, there are naked women there.
Yes.
Movies, you find what we call soft porn. You know, just littered here and there.
Throwing it just here and there.
And that is able to lure you into desiring to sleep with a woman. So to stay for 37 years and not finding myself into a situation whereby I'm having penetrative sex with a woman, number one, that's the preservation of the Lord. That's number one. The reason why I would emphasize that one is because before I even got saved, I had opportunities where I wanted to have sex with a woman. And in those opportunities, most of the times what would happen is that there's just like, I don't know how I can call it, but the fear of God. It will just come upon me like a mantle. And even if I plan to do it, even almost doing it, I walk out of the place. I remember I slept in a particular place. Of course, there was this woman that was interested in me. And I was going out with her.
Was that before you were born again?
Before I got saved. So I was at their place. These are ladies. So I was at their place and it was late, so they say you should just sleep over. So I felt like, okay, tonight I'm going to sleep probably with my girlfriend. And that time came, it happened that the other friend also wanted to join in. And they wanted to sleep with me, both of them. That night I stayed outside for quite a while. I said, just give me some time. I'll enter the house. Something just came upon me. I stayed outside for a long period of time, and when I entered the house, I found that the ladies were sleeping, like really in deep sleep. They were even snoring. So there was a bed, and the two of them were there. I slept on the floor till morning.
That's a preservation of the Lord.
Now that you can't say that it was probably maybe my strength. That was God preserving me. So now when I got saved, because there was those opportunities, to have it and I couldn't have it. When I got saved, I felt like maybe God called me to be like Paul. That's the reason probably I never slept with any woman. I felt like God called me to be like Paul. So there's a mountain 6 miles. People usually go there to pray.
Yes.
I'm sure you're familiar with that mountain. So I went to that mountain and I prayed and I made a vow to God. I said, I'm going to be, according to Matthew 19, Jesus said there are those that have been made eunuch by men, and those also that have chosen to be eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom. And eunuchs, these are people that are not having children, not even marrying. So I felt like, okay, to be for the sake of the kingdom, I'm going to be a eunuch. So I committed myself to God. And I said, I'm never going to marry. So that's one of the reasons why the years now were extended. I was into a lot of prayers, a lot of fastings. I think those also contributed for me to buy into that African.
Interesting story. I want to find out, after you got born again,
Yes.
Did you encounter any temptations from sisters in the Lord?
Okay. When I made that vow that I talked about, that I'm going to, there's a word that I was so, I can say, aggressive towards ladies, especially when they look suspicious in their dressing and all that. And I kept a certain distance from them in a very strong way, until after some few years, I went to the very same mountain, and that's when God spoke to me that I never called you to be like Paul. Your calling was different. And at that moment I started, because for quite a period of time, because I was so much far away from the people and so much into prayer, you're part of my life.
Yes.
And you're aware of the seasons where I was going to dry fastings, be on the mountain for many days and all that. And just, I started looking like I was sick, and all those things. So after that period of time, there was a season where I wasn't so much deep into what we call dry fastings, prolonged fastings. I was fasting, but at least on a casual way where I would still eat and all that. It was during that process, that period of time, that I could feel the feelings like. That's when I went to the mountain while I was in prayer. That's when God, He used that to actually remind me. That's the reason you have those feelings. And I came across that scripture where Paul says, better to marry than to burn with passion. So I realized that there was some passion that was within me, that was burning, that needed a wife to quench it. So that was more like an awakening. And just after that awakening, I decided that, okay, I think after that awakening, a year later, I decided that I'm going to
start talking to ladies.
And probably even look for a wife. It is at that moment that, of course, Satan jumped on that opportunity. So all kinds of temptations came along my way.
But do we still have men like you in this generation? And when women meet them, what do they think about them? What do they say?
I believe that God still has a remnant. There are still some few individuals that have been preserved to be able to preserve the young generation, young men. Because a lot of young men have been destroyed. Because in the generation that we are in, you find that a young man probably by 17 or even 15, he's already started sleeping around. That's the time that we are in. Around 8 years, 10 years, somewhere there, they're already exposed to pornography. So you find that is able to impart an age to commit immorality. So the issue of even virginity amongst young men and all that, it's not discussed these days, because most people, they lost it when they were just young. They can't remember. They have slept with multiple people. So it looks like it's an old-fashioned thing, like, it's just a joke. I remember when I was a day before my settlement, in the evening, I was a day before my marriage, my wedding. In the evening, I was at a barber shop where there's this Muslim guy that runs that place. There's a boutique in the barber shop. I was there and I was talking to him, and he was, asking. I was telling him that I'm settling tomorrow and all that. And the conversation we started talking about the issue of sex and all that. So I told him that I'm marrying as a virgin, and my wife, she's a virgin. So I know somebody might try to argue, this and that, how can you be? I know. We met sexually with my wife. So I'm aware of that she was a virgin. And she's also aware, because when a man is a virgin, there's something that shows that he's a virgin also from his private areas and all that. So I told him that, and the man he laughed. He said, you come from originally, you grew up in Matero. How can you be a virgin? It's not a possibility in that place for somebody to be a virgin and all that, because Matero is something else.
Yeah.
But God can be able to preserve a person. And another thing, Jonathan, you asked about the issue of how did I manage. It's not just an issue. I know God played a major role, mightily. there's also a place also of principle. I grew up also in a family whereby there were people that were into a loose lifestyle, prostitution and all those things and all that. And some would play men. Playing them, I mean, you know, whereby you have another guy and all kind of things. So as I was watching that, I had a certain resentment for prostitution, immorality, cheating on one another, this and that. So there was that resentment. So there were some kind of women that I just deliberately avoided.
What are the dangers of sex before marriage?
The dangers of sex before marriage is that, you see, sex is visual. Most of the time when you have sex, there's a way that it has an impact on your memory, especially your imaginations. And you know, you need your imagination for creativity in life.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatsoever that you need to do in life, creativity and all that, it comes from your imagination, and sex affects your imagination. Because most of the time when you have had plenty of sex, the pictures of those encounters, they haunt you. That's the reason, if you can trace it back, if you go back, the pornography that you watch when you are young, somehow it plays in the mind. There's a moment that it will play in the mind, that is to show the impact of sex on the mind of a person. That's where Solomon says, he that commits adultery destroys his own soul. And the soul, you know, it consists of the mind, the emotions, and the will. And the mind, of course, you have the imagination, the memory, and all that. So there is a certain kind of disfiguring of somebody's soul, where your mind, your imagination is affected the more you have sex. That's the reason, if you do a research, you realize that there is a lot of pornographic actors and actresses that have died on overdose of drugs, suicide, and all those things, mental torture. Most of them will be so depressed because all those sexual encounters, whereby you have maybe 1,000 encounters, your mind is highly affected. You can't be productive. So it has an impact on the mental faculties of a person. And those mental faculties are the ones that a person needs for creativity and progress and to see the future.
Are you able to talk about the soul ties and spiritual engagement, things that we hear, you know, when two people come together, they become one flesh? What happens when you have that before marriage?
Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 6, he speaks about, he says, he that is joined to a prostitute
is one with the prostitute,
has become one with the prostitute. Which means oneness is not just a product of God joining two people together in a marriage. There's a place where somebody can join himself to a person and they can become one. And that's through sex. So when I'm standing on the altar with my wife and they're pronouncing a blessing, we are being joined together. That's God joining us together. But you can make up your mind and join yourself to somebody. Yourself joining yourself. And it is through sex that you can join yourself. You become one. Whether it's a prostitute, and you know the scripture says one with the harlot, which is a prostitute. And which means if the prostitute has some challenges, maybe confusion, maybe she's talkative, she's loud, she's stubborn, she's rebellious. Imagine becoming one with that. Maybe she's cursed. Maybe she's bewitched. This is Africa, you know, bewitchment is reality.
Yes.
Maybe she's bewitched, which means you become one with the bewitchment. That's where you see now somebody's not, a lot of things, somebody's wondering, how come things are not going well for me? They have become one with somebody whose things are not going well.
What are some of those practical steps that couples can take to avoid sex before marriage?
Or when they are dating?
Yeah.
Okay. Almost brought in something controversial.
Bring it on, sir.
Okay. Dating is not something that is biblical. In scriptures, there's nothing like dating. And us in Africa here, dating didn't exist years ago. And when dating came, I think it has caused a lot of disasters. Let me explain this just a little bit and quickly. Most people justify the place of dating because what is dating? Dating is
getting to know each other.
You see, they'll justify it by the place of getting to know one another and all that. Of course, dating comes from the word date. You see, where you have a date and you say, okay, we'll meet and eat and just have conversations. So we derive it from there. But most people justify dating in like we have to get to know one another and all that, which is good. I'm not completely against dating, but I'm just let me touch the terrible side of it and the effects of it. Dating is okay, but it has affected us in a sense. Why was it not there in the Bible in the first place? Do you know that I don't have to date you for me to know you?
Okay.
Have you dated before?
No.
You're a man, probably. I wouldn't date you. You don't have to date a person. Your sisters, you have not dated them. The brothers that you're found with, you have not dated them.
But I know them.
Which means friendship can be a way by which you can get to know people. So if friendship was prioritized above dating, then it would have been better. Because when you talk about dating now has become a place by which where people are getting the benefits they're supposed to get in marriage, they're getting it in dating. The sex that you need just to get in marriage. So there are people that don't even want to marry now because there's dating. We can date, go on a couple of dates, sleep with one another, go to a lodge and all that in the name of what? Dating. We're getting to know one another. To an extent, we're getting in the bedroom. What kind of knowledge are you looking for? You see, so it has gotten to those extremes. So now when people are breaking up and they date this one and that one is a rehearsal for divorce. So people now master the art of giving up in relationships. So you find that you have dated maybe 9 people. You have mastered that art. As you are getting into marriage now, that thing is already built within you. It's easy for you now to say, I've given up, I can't continue this relationship. It has been mastered. That's also the danger of it. But since we have it now, and probably we can't get rid of it, it has been rooted in our culture, it's part of us and all that. During the moments of dating, when people are dating and they're saying, okay, they're getting to know one another, what you need there is to actually build friendship. And if you're building friendship with a person, definitely you'll not be looking for sex there. You'll not be doing that. So the focus must be to build friendship. You relate from the place of let's first be friends and let's develop friendship. You know that when you are friends, you can't pretend. Most people, when they say let's begin, even when you are friends with a particular sister, the moment you say let's begin dating today, pretense enters. You stop being real with one another.
Okay.
So the friendship must be prioritized. Even if you say let's begin dating from today, friendship still has to remain there. How you have tolerance towards your friend, how you are forgiving towards somebody who is your friend, that must continue. When people begin dating, you find that it's more like mercy is suspended. They are no longer merciful now. It's like this is I need to police you around. Where are you? Are you with somebody? This and something that you never did to somebody when they were friends. So the place of friendship where you can be merciful, you can be kind, it can be built from that place. And also, of course, when you are dating, avoid places where you are only the two of you. Your place, she has come to clean, she has come to do this, and avoid all those places. Avoid them. Meet in a public place where there's no possibility of you starting, to manifest and sleep with the person. So that is a major one. Avoid places that are hideouts and all that. Avoid those places.
Also pray together, right?
I'm glad that you brought up that one. That one is a major one. The place of praying together is a major one. And the place of praying together also, where are you praying together? You don't have to be in closed doors, because you can do funny things. I've seen people doing that, sleeping together in the place where they said we are going to pray and all that. So going to, it can be a prayer mountain. Yes. Those are secluded places. Like, for example, me and my beloved wife, of course, before we could go to any more, we started in prayer mountain. She just said that I'm going to the mountain. She said, "Sir, can I join you?" I said, "But I'm going alone," and all that. She insisted. She joined me. As she started joining me on many occasions, it was one of those when I was praying, almost like, a thought just dropped. That, "You coward, this is your wife. Where have you been looking?" So it was more like an awakening, and I just felt at that moment that, okay, this is my wife. And I'm not saying it in a spooky way where somebody will start feeling like, I need to hear the voice and all. That's the reason I use the term thought, because it was more like a thought that dropped. Now imagine, I would have ignored that thought if I wanted. So which means there's a choice, there's a choosing. You have a part to play by choosing. If I wanted, I would have ignored that thought, and I would have gone for another person.
For couples who love God, they want to get married, they're yet to get married, and they're still struggling with sex right now. How can they align themselves to God's will for marriage?
Okay. Struggling with sex in a sense that they're sleeping with one another?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're believers and they love God, and they want to stop so that they can get married. So they want to align themselves. How can they come out of that?
They have first to identify what are the triggers that trigger them into having sex with one another. They have to identify that. And especially the one that I touched, that they don't have to be in a closed place, the two of them only. Because you can't have sex in public. And you can't also sleep with somebody at the prayer mountain. You see. So they have to identify the triggers. Where she has to know that you have to know that if I bring this, my lady, she's attractive, and I bring her in my house, and we are just the two of us, and probably maybe there's only one couch there, and we are seated on that one couch. Maybe there's only a bed, and you are seated on the bed and you are chatting and all that. That's what we call tempting the devil. You are not even being tempted. You are actually bringing the battle in your home ground so that you may be crucified there. So you have to know what are the triggers that trigger this sexual immorality that we usually have. Maybe we meet in the night most of the time, and we meet in awkward places. That's a trigger. You have to avoid that by all means. We'll be meeting only in the afternoon at a public place, no private place. Whether your place as a woman or my place as a man, until we get married. And also have somebody you can be accountable to. Somebody that you both of you can be accountable to. Whereby you promise one another that once if you try to touch me,
I'll report you.
And that accountability will help you. It's able to be very, very helpful. With my wife, I tried by all means to make sure that because the time that she came home for her to actually maybe come and maybe we'll clean up and all that, the time that she came was a day, like Thursday. Saturday we're having the wedding, then she came on Thursday, because she was supposed to, come to that very same house after the wedding. So she had to come and clean up and everything. She didn't also want to come, because she felt like the man has paid everything. We have done traditional wedding, probably something might happen. You might feel like, and that didn't even cross my mind. But it was after we got married and enjoyed ourselves That's when now she told me, she said, you know what, that day I was feeling like my heart was pumping. I felt like something might happen because I'm cleaning up even the bedroom and everything and all those things. So that is very, very vital. You make sure that you get rid, you study the triggers, things that trigger you guys to enter into that place of sexual morality and avoid them.
Do they need deliverance?
Deliverance may be needed when you have gone to the extremes. There's a place where, because everything you do consistently, it attracts a spirit. When you keep doing something consistently, it attracts a spirit. Even when you can start out of maybe lack of, you didn't control yourselves and you sleep with one another. When you do it consistently, you attract a demon now. It will get involved. And once when a demon gets involved, like for example, when somebody is masturbating, there's a natural side of masturbation where somebody just feels that thing, oh, let me masturbate. But as they continue, there's a way that a spirit now gets in. That's where now if they want to stop, they can't stop. Because they are no longer now in control. It's a demon that has taken over. So that's when people now need deliverance. But they say we can't just control ourselves. We can't just stop having this.
Wow, so many nuggets and insights and wisdom right there. How difficult is it for a man of God to find a life partner?
I can say first of all, it's quite difficult because of the times that we are living in.
Okay.
Because I love the term that you've used. You've said life partner. There's a life that the man of God has, and that life requires a particular partner that can suit that life. And there are few women that are ready for the life of a man of God. It's a strange life. Imagine going to the mountain, you are there for 21 days. Normally a woman she cannot survive that. A normal woman. Probably the sexual appetite, she would want, the man to be there, sleep with her and all that. She would want probably emotional availability. And within that 21 days, the man is not there. And that's quite a long period of time. And all that. And because when you look at, because somehow somebody might say, but those are extremes when you're married as a man of God, this and that. But when you look in the scripture, you'll see Moses. Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Came down with the 10 commandments and broke them because he found them fornicating. And he went another 40 days. So which means he did 80 days. And Moses was married to a black woman, an Ethiopian. He was married. Now imagine what the woman went through. Imagine what she went through. Noah busy building the ark. And all that, which the wife had to help. Imagine what she had to go through. A normal woman can't go through that. So the reason why it's kind of difficult for men of God to find life partners is because of the lifestyle, the life that they lead. In the times that we are living in, there are few women that are interested in the life of a minister. But there's a word that God is faithful. A man of God has to really pray. Like really, really pray. For him to actually find that kind. He has to really pray. Because sometimes when you go about it physically, you just look at, ladies that are shaking their heads as they are praying. In a church service, you feel like probably these are the ones. But when you sit down with them, you realize that they are far away from God. Because there are many kinds of ladies. Like we talked about that experience of a woman and all that lady. That lady was even more polite. I didn't have one experience of a woman maybe trying to seduce me. I had different kinds in Zambia and out of Zambia. I had different kinds of those kinds. But these were people that looked as if they were on fire for God. But I found out that you're having a conversation with somebody and somebody's talking to you about 50 Shades of Grey. That's a movie, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
What do we call that movie?
Yeah, it's 50 Shades of Grey.
I've never watched that movie before, but there are movies and novels. But the review of it and the controversy of it and the history of everything and the writer, of course, I've done a study because I've gotten into documentaries concerning the beginning of pornography and how it started affecting society and all that. I've done that, that study because I felt like I needed to know those things so that I may help the young men concerning that. So I came across that. So I met such kind of women that, they are sick, they are praying and they are talking about such kind of content and how they have swallowed that content. And you know what is contained in that. You see. So a man of God has to really pray. He has to really pray to actually, not just for God to bring a partner. He has to pray so that he may accept the partner that God will bring. Because most young ministers have been polluted mentally. There's a certain flamboyant kind of women that they're looking for, slay queens. And most of those so-called slay queens will really slay you like Delilah did to Samson. So we find that when they are praying for a partner, God will bring a partner that will help them, but they will undermine that partner. They say, she's not that flamboyant. I'm not seeing any Brazilian hair, weave and all that. There's no hue there, and the skin is not that, bright, and
the tone of the skin
is not that cosmetic. So you find that that's what has ended up men into a mess. They only have the woman just as for packaging in the ministry. She's looking flamboyant there and all that, but spiritually she's dry. Spiritually, there's dryness.
For 37 years, you were single. What exactly were you looking for, and did you find it?
Yes, I found it.
What are those things that were key pointers or the boxes that you had to tick? And I believe that you obviously met quite a number of ladies, and they couldn't tick those boxes. What are those boxes?
The key thing was teachability. That was a major thing to me.
Okay.
I wanted a woman that is teachable. Because I understood from scripture that God never spoke to Eve about eating from
the garden.
Not eating from the forbidden tree and eating from the other trees. God never spoke to Eve, he spoke to Adam. Because when God said, don't eat from this tree, eat from every other tree. When God was saying that, Eve was not yet there, but Adam was there. We don't see anywhere where God spoke to Eve. So Adam had the mandate to be able to command his wife and to teach the wife. He was supposed to bring the word that God had given him to the wife. That's the reason if you look at Eve when she's having a conversation with the devil, she made a statement where she said, God said we shouldn't even touch it.
That was a lie, right?
Because when I tell you something and you are communicating it to another person, you're not communicating exactly. It's either you exaggerate it.
I'll spice it.
That's the reason when information passes even from 10 people, the 10th one will hear something that is almost completely different from the first one. You look at even the Gospels, there are differences in the Gospels because they were recorded by different kind of individuals and passed through also different individuals. Luke was not he wasn't more like a direct disciple of Christ. He wasn't amongst the 12, but you see him recording. He said, according to, eyewitnesses. So the eyewitnesses that gave him the information, and he wrote what he wrote down. And you see those few differences. So that's just a sure sign that Eve never got it direct from the Lord. She learned from Adam. So understanding that a man is a priest of the house, because a man is first of all a priest, a prophet, and a king in his household. As a priest, he teaches his household. As a king, he is able to govern and rule his household. There are principles and all that that are there. That's the reason he's able to bring discipline to the table. That's kingship. And as a prophet, he's able to bring direction to the family. So that's a threefold ministry of a husband and all that. So I believe that I needed a woman that is teachable, humble. Because when you talk about submission, many people, submission is a simple, submission is, it just means to be able to take instructions. That's submission. That's a layman's and simple explanation of submission. So if a woman is not teachable, she can't take instructions. So I was looking for a woman that was so humble enough to be able to learn the word of God from me. So that was the first thing. The second one was I wanted a virgin.
Okay. That one is...
And you know, I reached at 7 and I was thinking that, okay, maybe I should just give up on this pursuit. You know. And there were different kind of ladies that were kids and all that.
And you were asking them, are you a virgin?
Yes. You have to have that conversation. You have to ask, have you slept with any man? Of course, I can't say, are you a virgin? I just, have you slept with anybody? And somebody, of course, will disclose. Because in a relationship, you have to disclose. But probably, as time moved by...
Was that like a tick? Like, if you are not a virgin, then you're automatically cancelled from...
Not necessarily. That's the reason the first priority was somebody has to be teachable.
Okay.
And teachable, somebody has to be humble. You can't talk about submission without humility. You can't talk about that. Because many people, when they hear somebody, teachable, somebody needs to be instructed and all that, in the times that we are living in, somebody feels like this is now control. You can't talk about marriage without control. If you want to get married, get ready to be controlled. And that is not just on the place of, just in the side of the woman, even on the side of a man. Right now I'm here and I'm talking to you. I have to speak to my wife. I'm coming.
To get permission.
Yes, I have to speak to her. There's this and this interview and all that. And this, I believe that these are things that we'll talk about. Probably, Jonathan told me that there will be some hard things that you speak about. You didn't give me the questions that you asked me.
No, I didn't.
But you just said this will be hot. And I said, even if it's explicit, it's okay. And I knew that you are going to go that far. And I told her. And she gave me the permission. So you forget about marriage if you don't want any control. They will ask you, where are you? You are supposed to be home by now. Even if it's your wife, she'll tell you have to be home by now. You can't just come around 0 to 2 a.m. and you are saying, no, I'm the owner of the house. You can't do that.
As we wound up with the interview, you wrote a book, The 20 Rules for Singles. Are you able to share some of those rules even as we get to the conclusion of the interview?
Okay. Okay. One of the rules, never marry a liar and don't be one.
Yeah.
Yes. In that rule I speak about you cannot build trust by the material called lies. Many people want to be trusted by their lies. That's the wrong material. The right material for trust is truth. You have to be truthful if you have to be trusted. No matter how you can lie, words are spiritual. And human beings have, the center of the human being is the spirit. No matter how you can lie, it can be felt. Lies can be felt, no matter how you fake it. So you might feel like you have been trusted just because you have lied well. And you have mastered that craft and you have lied accordingly. You feel like that thing will collapse. The foundation is terrible. The material called lies can never build trust. It is truthfulness. So there are many people also that would lie to a person, but they don't want to be lied to. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you are lying to your partner, definitely she'll start lying to you also. You can marry even a very good woman that is not a liar, but as long as you continue on the path of lies, definitely she'll become a liar also. And especially you being the head as a man, It's even more dangerous. The Bible says oil flows from the head of Aaron to the beards and the garments, which means the lies that you are lying will flow to the woman, and she'll become a liar also. That's one of them. And another one, of course, let me just touch this one because we are in the internet age. We are in the age of the internet. Never accept a proposal online.
I like that.
Never accept a proposal online, because communication is 80% body language. 80% body language communication. So if you are talking to somebody on the internet and all that, which means it's only 20% that you are getting. The 80, you are ignorant. You don't know that person. Don't know what you are dealing with. That can be a scammer. That can be a killer. So when you can start talking to somebody online, but meet with a person before you can say, yes, I want to marry you. Meet with a person. Go at least meet for a while and all that. Then you can say yes.
This material right here is supposed to be shared at a conference or something. We need to set up a singles conference, marriage conference. Where can people get this book? Because those are like 20 rules. You've just mentioned 2 powerful ones.
Yes.
Where can people find that ebook? It's an ebook.
It's an ebook, yes. That ebook can be found on our platform. I think we have our line on our platform, Apostle Ecclesiastes, Emmanuel. And we have also, I think there's my account, which is more like a page now because it has more than 10,000
A lot of followers.
Yes. So even from that platform, but mainly from my page, because you have access to the line that is there. You can reach out and the book can be made available. Mostly I bless people with that book.
Okay.
Yes.
So people don't have to pay?
They don't have to. Wow. And it has produced testimonies upon testimonies. There are many people, like there are some sisters in America that are there, whites, that God delivered from scammers. Scammers from Nigeria and other parts of Africa that were collecting money from them and pretending to be somebody else and started relationships with them. It is from that place, things that are contained in that book help them. That's a small book. That book, somebody can finish it within minutes. Small rules and all that, but they are nails that are able to help a person.
Your last words, sir, as we end the interview.
Okay. I know somebody, when they listen to the interview, they'll probably feel like they feel like maybe I'm too righteous, too holy, kept myself, was a virgin and all that. But you see, in as much as in the place of sexual morality, I was not polluted. But there are other areas that I was something else. I was, I was a gangster. There's a place where I did Rastafarism and all that, and we are smoking marijuana. So everybody, there are areas where one has fallen and all that. And so I would want you to understand that the man that is sitting here is not the most righteous person. He's a man that has seen the grace of God. And this is an area that I was testifying in an area that God gave me victory.
Yes.
And He has upholded me. And just to encourage also a lot of young boys that are coming up, to tell them that when you are a virgin, you have not slept with anybody, you're not a coward. At school, people might tell you, I fool this and that. You're not a coward, you're not a fool. Sleeping with ladies anyhow and anywhere doesn't make you a strong man. That makes you a weakling. You are weak in a sense that your lust has overcome you. It's not like maybe the women are weak and you are defeating them. No. It is you that is weak. That's the reason at the end of the day you find that it is you that might die early, and even those women will still be alive. So there's no glory in sleeping around. There's no sort of like supremacy or superhero thing in sleeping around and all that with ladies all over the place and all that. That makes you weak. It makes you weak. Even Solomon was the wisest, and wisdom is the strength in the spirit. But yet that was paralyzed as he went about sleeping with women everywhere. He ended up worshipping idols. He died as an idol worshipper. I think it will be by God's mercy that we find that guy in heaven. You see, but because of the women, the man was weakened. So this is my message to most young men and even elderly ones. Sexual immorality is something that you can overcome. Number one, don't glorify it. Don't feel like there's heroism in sleeping around with women. There's nothing about, you are not a hero. You are a weakling. You are weak. There's nothing heroic about sleeping around with women. That's a major message that the young men have to know. There's nothing heroic about that. Because as you grow, you need to marry and you need to have your own wife. But if you have tested all kinds of vaginas, it will be terrible, because you'll be comparing your wife's vagina to others, your wife's breast to others, because you have tested all kinds. So that can affect you terribly. Discipline yourself. So in case maybe you have fallen already and all that, God is a restorer. Matters of sex, you can't get restored by just motivation. You need God to help you, because sex is very spiritual. That's the reason initiation into Satanism, into witchcraft, is easily done through sex. Many are initiated through sex. Fetish sex. People get initiated through that. All kind of things. That's the reason we see all kind of things that were happening in the land, where you have all kind of, ladies here and there, all kind of things and all that, abducted here and there and all those things. Or you see fetish acts that are involved in these matters. Why? Because sex is something else. People can be initiated easily. So you are not a hero because you slept with 10 women or 20 women. No, you are weak. You have been overcome by your lust. Real men are able to defeat that lust. And I believe that if you are able to look at that thing as a bad thing, that's the beginning of your victory. And from there, seek spiritual help, and you're able to be helped. There are ministers of God that are out there that are able to be a blessing unto you, that are able to help you. Jonathan, you know that I'm uncensored. So I will just put it out there like that. I can't just tell somebody, I give you motivation, stay away from it, this and that. Some other things are so spiritual. Where some other people, it can be cases that are in the bloodline, patterns that are in the bloodline, whereby it is known that the father was also a womanizer. And you find that the guy is born also, that same thing follows him. It's part of the DNA, it's part of a generational case. And that such people, they need spiritual help. You need counseling. You need people to counsel you and to help you mentally so that you may be restored. David said, you restore my soul. Souls can be restored. Emotions can be restored. Order can be restored. Mentally, you can be restored. Restoration is a possibility. So I don't want you to feel like I've aborted a lot, I've slept with a lot of men, and I'm useless, I'm nothing. God says He restores the soul. And He's able to restore the soul of a person.
Wow. Life-changing words right there, and that's what we do on the Real Life Show. We bring you the best that you need and the best that you deserve. In case you want to see this man or meet him or seek spiritual help, you can reach out to us and we'll be able to organize that for you. See you in the next episode. Stay safe and God bless you. Peace.